when you're sitting there, one on one with a patient that's dying and that intimate relationship that you must form with them, like a beautiful relationship, you're one of the last people that they're with. Like it's such a special
Mhm,
thing. What do you find are the things that when they reflect on their life
mhm.
that they talk about with you?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, ranges, and very often enough, you know, what one of the little things become very important. And so it's not like you're visiting some mountaintop that's removed from life. If you're doing your job well and if things are in order, just like we were saying about the kids, you're in a flow state. And so you'll
Mm,
move. There's this very sacred, profound comments and moments right next to these incredibly mundane ones too. And it's just all this is sweet, again, this little sweet pile. We're not, so they're talking to me very often about they're still wondering who won the baseball game, or it's still just basic stuff that sorry, my phone's ringing here. Um, Same basic stuff that can occupy a daily life with anyone. Sometimes now, when we'll break through those things and get to the more profound stuff, very eventually, invariably, we find a way to reflect on regrets, and reflect on things that they've learned and ways they've changed and surprises they've experienced over the course of their illness. And it can be usually a very beautiful conversation. Again, it's
mm,
not painless. It can be filled with tears, but it can be remarkable because as they recount all those experiences, just by being able to recount them, they're more than those experiences too. They're in touch with a piece of life that's bigger than any one little moment. And I get to be in that place with them. And in terms of like what they reflect on around regrets, I think it's generally true. You don't hear a lot of people regretting that they didn't go to the office that one more day or work harder. In one way or another, it does come down to love,
mm,
one way or another. And regrets usually have to do with someone that they didn't let themselves love, or a piece of themselves that they didn't let see the light of day, that they treated life too preciously, not realizing that all of life was precious, that it couldn't escape the preciousness of it, and whatever they chose to do was going to be okay. Spent too much time in the fear zone, one way or another. That's one of those major conclusions you bump up against a lot. No one regrets the love. People only regret not letting the love in. People only regret living by fear. Um, and I'll say one more thing about the love thing. The one thing I've come to with patience, but also in myself, is to come to realize how we're many of us can be pretty good at loving.
mm,
Being loved, the other direction, is really fucking hard.
yes.
It's really, excuse my language, very difficult. And I've watched that struggle in people towards the end of life because they're taking on more dependency, they need more help, etc. And it may be the first time in their life that they actually learn to receive, like really learn to
Mm,
be dependent on someone, and just glimpsing not the tragedy of that, but the grace of that.
mm.
And that could be really, really tender and beautiful. Yeah.
How have how has that made you put more love or change the way that you view love in your life?
Well, it definitely helps me realize that if I think I'm being real strong by not needing anything from people, if I think I'm being really strong by not needing to be loved, I'm a loving machine. I don't need any love. Like this attitude's all over medicine. Like I don't need care. I'm a doctor. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I stay up 72 hours. I'm a caring machine. Doesn't work. It just doesn't work because you're a human being. And so I have stopped hiding between these faux strengths, these false strengths that I don't need anything. I don't need like, and turning my attention to actually letting myself try to let love in the other direction, let myself actually need people, let myself, because I've done that dance. I remember that dance, but I've re-entered the other world where I've talked myself out of needing things from people. And so for me, the much of the work is like I'm describing in these patients, like learning to actually be loved.